And I'm not doing this to try and be cute. This is just what we do for miscellaneous news.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
And bad news indeed. Steve McMichael, Mongo, no longer with us. R.I.P. Sting tweeted out, grateful for my last few conversations with Mongo about his life, or this life and the life to come. WWE tweeted out that they are saddened to learn that Steve Mongo McMichael has passed away. WWE extends its condolences to McMichael's family, friends, and fans. I put this in miscellaneous news because, I mean, he wasn't necessarily a WWE superstar. Right? So, more known for the WCW side of things. I guess WWE owns that, but I didn't really know where to put it. But yeah, RIP Mongo. And everybody just has great things to say about him. And so prayers to him and his family. You know, what's weird is that I thought he passed away a while ago. So I'm not saying it's like Mandela effect, the helicopters, the drones, they're watching New Jersey. No, I'm not saying that, but it's just weird when, you know, I thought he had passed for some reason. I'm not sure why. So I never heard of this dude as I never watched WCW. Yeah, and he was like a footballer as well. And he was really great at that. So first night of AJ Francis teaching class at Reality of Wrestling. So there you go. Top dollar teaching classes at ROW there. And I know some people, I think they crowned their, I think they have a thing called like Reality of Wrestling Gold or some Pure or something. I don't know. I'm just conflating. I've watched so much goddamn wrestling and martial arts over the last couple weeks. It's all bleeding together now. But whatever that new show is, they crowned a new champ, or they're crowning one right away, or maybe it's in bookmarks. I can't remember. But speaking of bookmarks, we have the Good Brothers. So we covered this here on the show. They are there in Maple Leaf Pro, Northern Rising, on May 10th. They will be there on the verge of opening up, and one of the tag teams has entered the picture to announce their impending dominance. The Good Brothers have won tag team gold in New Japan, WWE, and TNA. So, yeah, I called this one. I mean, they just have good ties with Scott D'Amore, and they're going to do good work there. And people are like, oh, I'm surprised they're not in AEW yet. Well, they don't need to be, and they're definitely launching. Like MLW, I think might end up being like a weekly show or a weekly thing, or maybe not weekly, maybe bi-weekly, maybe monthly, who knows. Scott D'Amore's definitely can be innovative when he needs to be, to say the least. And so I don't know what the plan is, but as they stated here, the tag team division in Maple Leaf Pro is on the verge of opening up. So let's get some legends in. Let's establish some guys. Someone fights for the belts. You know, he's doing it the right way here. It's not just like, here's trios titles and a tournament. Here's the women's ROH Pure title and a tournament. Here's, you know, they're going to establish like this is a legendary team, whatever, you know, for the history books if they're your first champs and then they make another team or they lose in the finals or they earn a number one contendership before the division officially opens up or whatever. But yeah, shout out Maple Leaf Pro. I'm all about it. And again, they work closely with AEW. Like no one knows this shit. No one knows this shit. I'm talking about it forever. It's going to be a huge story. You guys are going to see where every 6 months, everyone's going to be like, well, Maple Leaf Pro has actually had a deal with AEW. There's all... No one's talking about it, but yeah, they have a deal where you will see the Good Brothers float over possibly. For sure, like for a big ROH show where they need a team if they're not busy. I don't think Tony Khan is like overly keen on. No, I don't even want to say that. Because I don't know, right? I don't know Tony Khan or how he feels, right? I'd have to ask him, but just something about the way they were booked last time they were there tells me, these are the pieces I pick up on, they were booked similarly to other people that Tony Khan just sort of like backburnered and didn't really, if you kind of notice now, provided they were in like a 12-man group, but they were just really, I think he looked at them as more of TNA guys. And at the time, they were more of TNA guys and they were Scott D'Amore guys. And that's why they're in Maple Leaf Pro before they show up in AEW. Not to say they won't ever show up there again or in Ring of Honor or whatever. But I'm just pointing out, hey, they're more D'Amore guys. They'll go to Japan. They'll do their thing. You know, Anderson was taking shots at The Rock. I always thought Anderson and Gallows were like Triple H guys too. So maybe there's something to that. Brian Last pointed out that Triple H didn't even thank The Rock in his acceptance speech. He thanked everybody who's like ever wrestled ever in WWE during his speech. But anyways, I'm spending a lot of time on this. I like the Good Brothers. Shelton Benjamin was asked by Maven. So shout out Maven Huffman. Go subscribe to him. Shout out the Hurt Syndicate and Shelton Benjamin. And he got asked about taking the greatest Sweet Chin music ever. And he has such a cold answer where he's like, he goes, Michael Hayes is like, can you get to him across the ring? And Benjamin's response, like, I can get to where you need me to get to, which is just, he's such a freak athlete. And this, again, I just remember watching this when it happened and just one of those moments you're screaming at your TV, even as a kid. Yeah, let's take a watch here.
Shelton landing on his feet.
This was in Boston. At the time, it was called the Fleet Center. I'm young. I'm only about 5 years in at this point, and I'm having a match with arguably the greatest performer of all time. I'm listening to Sean. Sean, like, we put this match together, but this is me under Sean's learning tree.
Whose idea was this? Was it yours? Was it Sean's? And how did you know that you could pull this off?
The idea was Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes basically was like, Shelton, you think you could springboard across the ring to Sean? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, how far can you get? I'm like, well, how far do you need me? A lot of things that I could do naturally, I didn't see as special because I just assumed this is just what we do.
Nowhere to go, and you're up there. Look at this jump. And oh my God.
You can't even see you take the bump even in slow motion.
Everything happened in a split second. But for me, it was like I had in my head, my perception was I had 5 minutes to figure out how to get my feet under me. And the whole time I'm looking at Sean's foot. One of the things I do to protect myself is I do this. So if you look, it's my hands.
Yeah.
And I do this. The secret for me was.
His hands kind of like wrap around Michael's legs, so he has a feel for it. Like right as it sort of connects. It's crazy how he gets his feet under him so well. And shout out WWE. We love you guys too. Don't snipe me. No Tiffy versus Charlotte.
When my hands felt Sean's foot, that's when I started bumping.
That's when you took
that. That's my snap my head.
Gotcha.
Because my hands come here in front of me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so he's breaking it down. Break it down. Amazing stuff. Okay, so TJP. So what was his name in TNA for some reason? TJP, right? It wasn't that it? TJ Perkins, though, nonetheless. He had a bunch to say on Reddit about Jeff Cobb and about what is their team called, the United Empire, and a bunch of backstage information about them. And then he became like the de facto leader because people are leaving. And so he's shooting for real. And then I guess they put tag straps on this team anyways when everyone was like, oh, they're just going to bury this team now. Manic. Thank you. So you guys, your chat is goated. Thank you. Because I was about to say, the other name, but I was like, I don't want to say it on YouTube. So Mega TJP says, here's where the problem is. The company made me the leader because the other member turned it down. I didn't ask for it. I didn't because all of them were asked before me and didn't feel up to doing it, including Cobb. After it fell to me, I asked them all again myself if they'd rather do it out of respect. They all declined. Cobb specifically saying he didn't want to be in the group anyway. Head of booking even sat the UE members down and told us exactly that they're putting me in that position. It was very clear. Man, how is New Japan right now? And after Tony gutted like so many people that were there, like Okada's not there anymore. Now, provided like that's Okada's decision. Again, I'm not knocking anybody for going in, right? I'm just saying that's a dude who's, I'm sure, somewhat of a leader there, And then the old, like Tanahashi takes over, and then you have people jumping off ship, and I don't know. This is just been such a mess the last few years. It was very clear, not self-appointed. Cobb is a longtime friend, so I offered to do what I can to make it something he enjoys because he was at the time disgruntled about a lot of things and not being clear why. He began creating a storyline that didn't exist about a question of leadership. That's why most of us never acknowledged it because there was no booking plans to pay it off, so we would look foolish. He would also drift behind on entrances and try to appear as if in the leader spot. But when confronting him, he would put on a good face and say he's just doing whatever and just kidding around. Eventually, myself and Ospreay had to suggest a short story. Damn, so maybe Cobb going into business for himself a little bit, if we're to just believe all of this at face value. You know, we can't necessarily do that. But yeah, it's weird that he would deny, I don't want to be the leader, but then they're getting the vibes like, why are you acting like the leader, bro? You trying to act like the leader? I thought you said you didn't want to. That's funny. Me and Ospreay, bruv, had a short story that was never meant to happen, where we have a gauntlet with J5G, with me beating Taichi, so to solidify that and leading the group, and we all come together in that moment. All because the sabotaging was becoming a commentary point. They don't get notes from the office the same way WWE AEW does, and the fans were starting. Sorry, he has a bunch of typos, and I don't blame him. This is like a huge post to get confused. We did it, and it worked, but he kept on playing into his own made-up angle, so we just ignored him at that point. But the perception was causing the group to be devalued in booking, and merch was taken from a merch was tanking from a previously high position even after Will had left. Most of the group is on per date agreements, so if booking diminishes, it's crazy he's saying all this. We make significantly less money. True. Cobb is the only one on guaranteed money. Damn. Whether he works or not, he also began having little locker room spats or criticism. So, guys, we're talking about this. I know some people are like, Phil, why are we talking about Nuge, right? Well, Cobb is coming into WWE, so if you're an E-Drone or you're an AEW mark who wants to hate on the Fed, then here's some ammo, you know? He also began having a little locker room spats or criticism with other group members, even when I wasn't there. Left the group chat we have to collaborate together on gear and merch and just to hang out when traveling, and also created an issue with management where they questioned the group members if they got along with me. They all confirmed they did, and it was easy to see where it came from because Cobb was the only one they didn't ask. Just a lot of passive-aggressive but detrimental behavior from whatever he was going through and not being upfront about. I even offered to him to lean into his rogue story if he felt like it would be interesting, even though it makes me look stupid. But that's my job in the locker room in general, to make things work. However, the office did not want us to go that route. They just wanted us to be a group and me be in this position. No push, no bells and whistles or big titles to signify it. Just do it naturally as is. So all we did was follow directions except for one guy. For me, that made life hard. I have a wife and 2 kids. Money got cut in half and was no longer a livable wage. And the trajectory of how I was being used at first versus Finley, 2X versus Taichi, 2X versus Kojima, was now being changed. And I was told they couldn't continue that because of where we are at now. So because of that, I chose to decline my contract simply to allow myself the freedom to make enough money to feed my wife and kids. You don't understand the position of being on the phone with a distraught significant other at 4 a.m. in the dark in a Japanese hotel room because they're raising 2 kids on their own while you're shipped overseas to work for a month to make ends meet, and then find out you're about to have tours taken off the schedule because of peers sabotaging and how you won't be able to make ends meet after all. The worst feeling in the world is pouring your last cup of milk into 2 baby bottles and having to fill the empty spaces with water just to make sure they have something before borrowing money the next day. Damn, dude, I'm sorry he's going through this shit. You know, that's really sad to hear, man. We all thought Yui really is an Okan symbol, and I thought he should do it for no other reason that he simply speaks the language and none of us do. And he's a wonderful networker, but he didn't feel up to it. And I tried to talk him into it when Okan actually is the one who came up with Captain for me out of respect for Will. Here, I'm just trying to find the Cobb stuff. Whatever Cobb was feeling about office suggested boss and other terms. Okan first chose a word that didn't translate well, like organizer or something. Then he mentioned Captain. So we went with that. Focus on making a story. Please use these last 2 responses as reference points for others in the space that don't know the stuff and are wildly incorrect in their think pieces. It would be appreciated if people understood these things. Context is important. So yeah, man, these wrestlers are up in Reddit and shit. Yeah, he just pretty much buried Cobb there, and he did say he's my friend, but at the same time, this guy around now, a 42-year-old coming into WWE, allegedly. Do they want a guy like that rocking the boat? Or do they care what TJP's saying? I would love to hear another side of this. TJP was in WWE for a while, remember? And so they put a lot of stock on him. So, you know, for what the cruiserweight division was at the time and stuff, he was on one of like the main dudes. So I'm curious if maybe people over there like, no, TJP or something. I don't know. I'm not saying they are, but that would be interesting to hear like Jeff Cobb's side of that. And yeah, him saying like, oh, he slagged you all tell me. I always thought when I looked at United Empire after Will Ospreay, I guess, left. Yeah, I always viewed it as Cobb was their leader. Like when I'd see them all standing in the ring together, it was like Cobb and TJP were like neck and neck as the leaders. So I don't know what the problem is. I think maybe Cobb was just tired of being in that group. And I think he knew like, okay, AEW and WWE both want me. So why am I going to play fiddle or leader or why would I put anybody over? I should be pushed on my own type shit. Maybe he believes he deserved more opportunities and stuff in New Japan and didn't get them. And now he's like, well, shit. Who knows? But hopefully, yeah, people who rock the boat like Britt Baker, I don't know if we need like that in WWE. It makes news interesting and stuff. But at the same time, the way they're headed seems to be focused. I don't know, man. If this whole Rock Triple H drama, there's any validity to it. I don't know. According to The Rock, he's talking to Triple H all the time, and everyone's like, well, no, they're compartmentalized and shit. So let's see. I don't know. We'll see how that all plays out. But thus far, they've been doing well, you know? It's not like this Mania was a travesty either, man. We'll talk about it when we review SmackDown. But yeah, that TLC match definitely should have been on Mania. And same with Zelina snagging the belt like that in a quick match like that. Those shits both should have been on Mania, I think. One of them on each night. That's just my opinion. Anyways, though, Kenzie Paige is here screaming about respect, and then Natalya Markova is like, that's not how you earn respect. And then Natalya Neidhart is talking about Kenzie Paige is talking about how Natalya and her got into it at GCW Bloodsport. Natty gets attacked in her own gym, Natalya, I believe, by Kenzie, or she just cuts a freak out promo with her Starbucks in her car. I can't remember. We might have multiple videos, but I think Kenzie Paige rolled up at Natty's dojo there and whooped her. You really thinks I wasted my time. She thinks I wasted my time going to Las Vegas. I put my career on the line to go out to one of the biggest events of all of WrestleMania weekend to attack the biggest star. I didn't waste my time, and I'm not wasting my time. I demand respect. I deserve respect. And you won't even acknowledge me, Natty. You won't even acknowledge me. So if you won't give me respect, then I'm going to get it. And I'm going to get it right now. Oh, yeah, she's outside the building. Natalya really thinks, damn, that's sick, wearing an NWA shirt. Just runs up in her gym. Yeah, so here's like security camera footage that got released too. Natty released. It's obviously a work, but like, look at this shit. They're just like working this angle, bringing eyeballs to the Crockett Cup, and to the fact that Natty, we'll get into it in a second here, but it's Billy Corgan announced Natty versus Kenzie for the NWA title. I don't know, man. Like, Natty will lay down for Kenzie Paige, but you don't think Corgan's like, well, what if we give Natty the NWA title? So CEO Billy, he owns at Billy. Patrick Corgan, William Patrick Corgan, right? Billy Corgan is such a gangster. He owns at Billy. Has made the call at Crockett Cup 2025 in Philly. It will be NWA Women's World Champion Kenzie Paige versus WWE Superstar Natalya for the Burke. It's always our distinct honor, etc. So yeah, dude, it's for the title. If Natty gets the title, imagine she goes on like WWE TV with that shit. That could be crazy, man. And I'm here for it, Eric. I'm here for a healthy Crockett Cup. Wow. I mean, geez, chat me up. What say you about 2025 and the Crockett Cup coming back? Natty Neidhart. I'm here for it, Eric. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. Tony Atlas at Black Label Pro just doing a freaky foot sniffing angle or foot eating angle.
Oh,
for
Tony
another
Atlas catches this one, though. Oh no. She has a run.
What am I seeing?
Oh!
Man knows what he likes.
Tony Atlas feasting on Charles McKenzie's feet. Oh, headbutt to Frank the Clown.
Big.
Oh,
Going for
Tony
another
Atlas.
Frank the Crown, or what was that guy's name? Looked like Tekashi 6ix9ine. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was miscellaneous news.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.